glance behind those doors and kind of answer some of those questions that you all have been sending in to askkgx@gmail.com. Some of those questions came in a little bit late for this itinerary, so please know that we did get your questions. They will be answered on the next go-round, and we appreciate them. Please keep them coming in as well. So we're going to kick off this evening with Mr. Stephen McCullum. Stephen, are you unmuted, sir?
I am unmuted.
All right, perfect. So, Stephen, it's a big time in the industry. We're in the middle of summer. We were talking about vacation right at the beginning, and I know that you took a vacation. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But I wanted to kind of talk to you about where the company is and the trajectory that it's taken over the summer, and see if you could kind of give us an insight to that. Dive right in today.
Okay. People say summer, and, we were just starting to pre-launch as summer began, and people get concerned about that. Mm-hmm. And I can't give numbers, but 2 weeks ago we had like a record week, and I had people saying, hey, where was our momentum? Well, 2 weeks ago we had a record week, and then last week we went 50% bigger. And
wow.
So the company's growing. The different teams and certain teams specifically, and congratulations to those teams, are really growing. The numbers here are good. The numbers are really good, actually. And we're just now moving into back to school. We look kind of like Bitcoin a little bit because we don't have a foundation under us yet. We're not wide enough yet. And so we spike up and down and spike up and down. But our numbers are substantial. I mean, incredibly substantial. And when we had a record week and thought this is awesome, and then the next week we went 50% bigger, that's even more awesome. And now basically our foundation's getting wider. We're fixing to move to back to school, and right after back to school, be in position for the program to really launch. And to help with that launch, which I know this was going to be a next question, we're final programming credit card processing right now. So we'll be able to start accepting credit cards on the $250 or $300 package. We will not accept credit cards on Bitcoin mining machines, our Green X machines, because no credit card company is going to take that type of exposure. So go ahead now.
Wow. Just to recap that, if you would, Stephen, because I know you went really fast, and I know some people have their pen and paper out. Okay. So could you tell us the specifics on what the credit cards will and will not accept right now, please, sir?
When the credit cards go online here in the next few days, you'll be able to do the $250. There is a $25 admin fee on credit cards because this company was designed around Bitcoin, buy and pay in Bitcoin. And so when we get exposed, the model was based on Bitcoin. So when we get exposed to credit cards, we see fees that were not built into our model. So people will be able to buy the product, or people will be able to become promoters with their credit cards. And that has been approved, and it's all done, and it's the longest process I've ever seen in my life. And so now the programmers are finishing the APIs on that.
Okay.
Wow.
Hey, Steve, on this on a second part of that question, is the credit card, the Kryptogenics pay card, that's still coming, right?
Oh yeah, we're still working the details. We're waiting for the link from the pay company that's going to allow you to come into the back office and click on a link, and we think it's $11. They'll deliver you your debit card, and that debit card will actually be in a global payment system, whereas it will have a Bitcoin wallet inside of it. And so we'll actually be able to pay directly to a Bitcoin wallet in that debit card bank account of yours. And then you'll be able to convert it to almost all currencies in the world, at least the legal countries that we can do business in.
Man, that's neat. All right.
Wow. That's pretty big. That's huge. I don't know if anybody wrote that down or not, but if you didn't, you need to get the recording of this and listen to that again. That was big.
Yeah,
hey, Stephen, I didn't thank you formally after we hit the record button earlier for taking time out of your busy schedule. Mike Boggs out of your busy schedule, especially after the days that you guys are putting in. I know, Stephen, that you recently were on vacation actually at the same time that I was. And I also know that at one point I actually called you and had a conversation about something, and so my next question is going to be specific to that, about what you and I experienced on our vacation and how you feel the timing of KGX is right now.
Well, we're going to answer both of those questions at once, and why we're talking about our vacations. When I was on vacation, I was sitting in a chair on the beach, and if you sat beside me, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. I might take a couple of minutes, and I might get to know your name first, but we're going to go there and, just make the mistake and ask me what I do. So anyway, that's what they do. You visit with people, and so they finally go, well, what do you do? And I go, well, what do you know about Bitcoin? And I want to tell y'all something, folks. This was shocking because there's no joke, statistic-wise, no joke. And I just watched Matt Sheriff do a video in the streets of Chicago. Of everyone I spoke to, only one person had heard about Bitcoin. Now, we're on this call, and we like Bitcoin, and we have wallets, and we got coins, and we got Litecoin, and we got EOS, and one person knew what Bitcoin even was, but had no clue what Bitcoin was. And I was talking to a network marketer. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Right beside me, and he's in a Hempful program, and he's from my area, actually. And I'll be following up with him with one of our leaders because he was very intrigued. He's successful. And he said, now you said Bitcoin, right? And it's what we all have to understand and grasp is we are living in a bubble. And I don't mean a bubble that's going to pop. I mean a bubble that we're all in, and Bitcoin it's our blood, and nobody else is in that bubble. And we have to realize that because people, cryptocurrency and these coins and altcoins and those coins and ICOs and mining rigs, they don't know. They don't even know Bitcoin yet. I mean, one of the guys worked for, we worked for Budweiser as a sales rep. One of the guys worked in the oil and gas industry. One of the guys was a network marketer, and then the list just goes on. And we sit here and we live and breathe Bitcoin. The world does not know about Bitcoin. We think they do. You think they do because you know it so well, and they do not. So that's going to lead into what we're thinking here is, so how is our positioning at Kryptogenics then? Well, ahead of the curve, that thing ahead of the curve? We're on the highway and can't even see the curve yet. And I think we all need to realize that because we're just sitting there going, okay, here it is, and okay, here's what we got, and here's our product, and we think we got good timing. The curve isn't even in view yet, and that's a fact. I mean, 2017, a lot of people in network marketing, okay, they all heard about Bitcoin, kind of, and got scammed, but they heard about it, and that's where me and you on this call think, okay, so most of the world now knows about Bitcoin. This will be a little easier. Well, they don't, so don't fool yourself. Now, tell me about your experience.
I'll be glad to. I actually called you and asked you, are you having this experience? Because, for those of you who don't know, I just recently took a vacation. It was the entire east coast of North Carolina. We started at the bottom of the state. We worked our way all the way to the top to the Virginia state line, and we saw 9 different lighthouses. Now, in our journey to visit those 9 different lighthouses, we stayed in 5 different accommodations. We took multiple ferries, both human and vehicular ferries. We ate in very nice restaurants. I'm not talking about McDonald's here. All right. And in most of these places where we were eating and staying, they didn't even have chains of anything. There were no chain stores. There were no chain gas stations, nothing. And, I thought to myself, before I left on vacation, similarly as Stephen did, when we go on vacation, we're going to see Bitcoin signs, right? Like I figured I'd see them on every door that I put my hand on. I would see them on the ferries. I would see them at the ticket booths. I would see them in the restaurants. Nothing, y'all. Nothing. Not one single one. And, here's what's really important about that. When you talk about something as new as a currency, okay, and we're talking about a currency, we really are. At the end of the day, we're talking about currency. And when you're talking about that, the hospitality industry and the restaurant industry, they are 2 of the most progressive industries I know. And they usually are what we consider to be early adopters. And none of those people, none of them, and I'm talking about managers all the way to owners, even to the people that were working in these places, no one knew anything about Bitcoin. So my question, I was on vacation, and I did take a little bit more of the vacation than Stephen did. I gave people a break. But I found it funny because I couldn't find any Bitcoin conversations. Like I was listening. I was eavesdropping. I found myself eavesdropping, which I'm not normally doing. And I was listening to people's conversations at the tables next to me, and nobody was talking about Bitcoin or anything. And so then when the checks would come, or it would come time to check in or check out of a hotel or get on a ferry or whatever, buy tickets for something, I would ask, do you take Bitcoin? And they'd say no. And I said, well, you do now because I'm going to use my BitPay card. But, at the end of the day, they didn't know. And the most profound experience that I had was a restaurant in Kill Devil Hills that this is a really nice restaurant. They have a very high turnover. It's a seafood house. The mother and the daughters run this place, and they are busting their butts. And we're talking about a restaurant that could probably seat about 300, 350 people. And the table turnover is probably an hour. Some people like myself stayed 2 hours, but that's neither here nor there. I was enjoying the seafood, right? But I thought about it, and I was looking around, and when I got my check, I really looked at the tables, right? Because I knew basically what it was going to cost me, but I looked at that, and I looked at my check, and I went, God, it'd be so nice if these people were taking Bitcoin. So yes, I have some people to follow up with, much like Stephen does, but what I'm trying to get across here is no one knew about Bitcoin. Not one single person that I asked. 5 hotels, multiple restaurants. I lost track. We ate in at least 2 every single day. We were gone 10 days. The ferry system, the parks and recreation system, no one knew anything about it. It was amazing, Stephen.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking. I mean, it's one of those things where I look back now because time flies. And I've actually began working on this concept about 15 months ago now. We went full bore about 7 months ago. But so for 15 months, while I was educating myself and getting educated, and then we put this team together, it's been 15 months and still no one knows what Bitcoin is. And we know all of us on the call, we know, but the world does not know. And so what that means is once it really does make its next move, because it's being the next move that the world pays attention because it is on the Chicago Mercantile, it is going to go to Wall Street, and that's when the world's going to pay attention, and we're going to be in position with the education the world really needs because they really need it.
Man.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Hey, Joe, you got a question for Stephen?
Yeah, I do. This is a little different than what we're talking about here, but when are we going to be, this has to do with the miners, Steve. When are we going to be able to see what they're doing? Like online with the ones we purchased?
Okay, what's going on right now with Green LLC is we have our programmers getting final pieces of information from them to finalize these APIs. We remember we started doing mining the 1st of May, and it always said it'd be 90 to 120 days could be delivery times on these rigs. Well, a lot of the rigs are already in place and already mining. You're just not seeing them yet. We all know that everything before July 4th is already in place. And so we're just finalizing the APIs with Green LLC. And I really feel like we should be there within a few days to a week. It's just getting information back and forth from their programmers. We're on it. Our programmers are on it. And as soon as we get the rest of the information we need, we'll connect it. And only the people who have mining rigs will see this stuff appear in their back office. It will register that it knows you purchased a mining rig. Also, with that being said, the system's in place now. We sent out a group email about these mining rigs, and this call is more about mining rigs in just a moment. We sent out a group email telling everybody that purchased the mining rigs, about this call, and we start updating them now that we're right there finishing up the API. But also when you sell a mining rig, hey, some people sell a mining rig and don't know it because you sponsor people and you don't realize they buy a mining rig, and they did. And so you make $500. So the system is now sending out the email congratulating the people who purchased the mining rigs, and it's also sending out an email to the upline so that you actually know that you sold the mining rig. Because I was telling somebody, well, this person just sold a mining rig, and they go, no, they didn't sell a mining rig. I go, yeah, they did. I'm sitting there looking at it. And they didn't realize they sold it because they didn't have to be there to sell it. The person involved in the program made the decision to buy the mining rig, and therefore all the commissions trigger.
Fantastic.
Wow,
that is amazing.
Man, that'd be nice,
Exactly. Hey, I want to check and just make sure real quick, Stephen, before we turn you loose, that Mike Boggs is in the house. Mike, are you here? Perfect. So, Stephen, we want to thank you for taking your time out of your busy day. You have a beautiful wife there. I know it's probably about time for you to say good evening to folks. If you want to hang out with us, that's great. We appreciate you coming, and we hope that you'll return with us soon.
Hey, thank you guys very much. And I want to let you know just a couple of things. There's a process. I'm just going to throw this in there. There's a process called the Bitcoin Core. And the Bitcoin Core is for corporations to load into their servers. And then you can actually do, like we do, you can, buy and sell with Bitcoin, run your whole business off Bitcoin. And so Kryptogenics is going to announce the ability to work with major companies and allow you, the members, to market the Bitcoin Core. And that is a very big ticket item. And so we would actually install the core in the servers for the other companies and work with their programmers to implement it, because people just don't know about this stuff. They don't know how it works. And so that is one piece of our product line that's coming very, very soon.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate that.
Hey, guys, it's Jeremy Keene. I want to interject one thing. Steven, would you do me a favor while you're still here?
Yep.
Would you answer a question in the chat and break it down in big crayons on what an API is? A lot of people don't even know what an API is.
Well, I'm gonna let Mike Boggs take over with that,
Okay.
because it was leading into him, and he's a true programmer. I'm a program manager.
Yeah.
And so Mike,
That's why does everyone call me a nerd and doesn't actually say that?
Hey, Mike,
Hey, nerd.
you're my nerd, brother.
That was Chris.
Because they like to pick on short people.
Right.
I prefer the word geek.
Hey, Jeremy, thanks for keeping an eye out
Thanks,
on that
Jeremy.
comments for us, buddy. That is
Hey, thanks, Steve.
teamwork everywhere we go, right? Teamwork everywhere we go. Mike,
That's right.
welcome to the call. Thank you for coming to Bridging the Gap. We're very excited tonight to talk about Green X and Green X mining, Green X coins, and just all kinds of stuff that Green X has to offer. So wanted to welcome you really quick. I would like for you, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and get that question off the chat. And if you would just kind of tell folks what an API is, and that'll kind of bring us into our line of questioning.
Sure. So API stands for Application Programming Interface, very commonly known in the programming world as simply just API. API, if I could compare it to something, is kind of like the plug on your DVD player, your PlayStation, and you plug it into the wall. API is a plug-and-play device software. That means our communication servers are communicating directly with Green United, and it's just plug and play. Now, granted, it sounds easier said than done, but we have to make sure that all the data that we were receiving from Green is matching up with the data that we are calling out for and reciprocating. So it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. As far as I'm trying to keep it big crayons, Jeremy, is making sure that you have a male plug fitting into the female plug and everything's communicating correctly. But so again, it's automated programming interface, which is the API. And that is literally the final things that we're working on. We have test accounts up and all that good stuff. And yeah, I can't wait till it's done. So.
Hey, Mike, I'm going to really, really big crayon that on like a cheap tab. It's how the systems talk to each other. It's how they communicate, basically. I mean, that's what it is. Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, Mike, it sounds like to me that you're really ready for this API stuff to be over with.
It sounds like it.
I'm going to look like Will here soon.
Okay. You're going to look like Will, and then you're going to have to reserve that really good vacation, right?
In that case, we better hurry up and get this done.
Why, you guys don't want to be sexy like me?
Hey, Mr. Will. Hi, man.
Will's
How
here.
are you?
Hey, Will.
It's amazing how all of them pick on me.
I know, right?
All
That's okay, Mike. I got you back.
right, appreciate you, Chris. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, look, buddy. I want to talk to you. I got a question. I really, really do have a question. And this came from one of the questions in our askkgx@gmail.com. What type of coin is Green X coin?
The Green X coin is going to be on the ERC20.
Okay.
And the reason it's going to be there is because Green X itself is actually two phases. So what's going on right now is how you would say in big crayons is, they're powering up the network with proof of work. And it has to be done because nobody's selling these coins. This is not an ICO. This is not a round robin Series A or anything like that. So with proof of work, the network, the Green X network is getting powered up with the mining rigs as they more and more come online. So it is creating coins as it's powering up the network. And as we move from phase 1 to phase 2, it'll be a full-fledgling ERC20 on the Ethereum network. So that's why you see in the mining rig description why it's an SHA-256 network, which also stands for a sidechain. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where we're at. The rigs are producing coins. And it's actually a really good thing because when you have a proof of stake or a proof of contract or a smart contract, whatever you want to say, is that you'll be receiving value of what you give. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in this relative experience in phase 2, the applications, which we really can't talk about too much because we need to get some final details from the team over at Green, like Dave, Kathy, giving us updates. So lots of good things. I personally, as the nerd of the company, are really excited with Green X.
Excellent.
That's amazing, and I appreciate that. That was a very big crayon, as Jeremy would say, answer. What I'm going to go just one little bit step further, and I'm just going to assume, okay? Just going to assume. I'm going to be the devil's advocate here for just a second. I'm going to assume that there are some people out there that really don't know what an ERC20 coin is or what the significance of that would be. Could you give us a little bit more on that, sir?
I suppose I can. I will do my best to, disclose that in the best way. But, typically, an ERC20 is tokens that have been filled out automatically with, other coins. Probably the difference about it is the mandatory supply has to be basically given out. Everyone has to be very aware. Okay, the balance of it, the transfer, where's it come from, where's the approval, where's the allowance, and it can have a decimal point on an ERC20. The decimal points actually go all the way up to 18. Now that is set by the company. So like Bitcoin, we have a decimal point placement system of 8. Now on the ERC or the Ethereum network, you can have up to almost 20, 18. So it allows different numerical values of the coin as it moves forward in a different valuation as it gets there. So, as we move forward, the practical, how you want to say, excitement of it being on the ERC20 and the Ethereum network is that it creates more valuation to the end user when they are giving reward to the network. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. You hit the nail on the head, brother. Thank you so much. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
You got some questions for Mike?
Well, of course I do. Okay, this comes from what we got in questions, and I'm just reading it right as they ask. Why should people be excited about mining, and specifically, why should they be excited about mining this Green X coin?
Oh, good question.
Well, I would say probably because I've been talking with Dave Smith a lot lately.
Okay.
And
wait, do you want to tell him who Dave Smith actually is?
Dave Smith is a similar nerd like myself, also very good at doing presentations, and is actually the chief operating officer and also in a compliance role as well with Green.
Nice.
And
there we go.
You guys, I don't think I'll give the exact number, but there are a crap ton of patents around this technology of the Green X. Crap ton. And the fact that they have gone out and spent the money, brought on the legal teams, and basically protected their baby is, I have not seen this, and maybe Rob Harris or a couple of the other big traders that have experience, but I'm almost certain that I don't believe there's a coin out there like this right now that has as many patents domestically as with Green. I'm almost pretty certain of that. So I'm taking a quotation, like quote unquote. I'm pretty sure it's probably has the most. Okay. But the fact that they've done, all of that in advance before it even gets on an exchange. I will add this nice little caveat: is Walmart tried to file the same type of technology, and they got kicked right into booty out the door. So that's an extremely impressive caveat in the fact that why people should be, pretty excited about Green X and mining as a whole. Please understand that with any type of mining, there is always cost. You have the rig cost and you have the power consumption cost. So make sure that one, don't risk what you can't afford, and be prepared that there's going to be ongoing costs. It's kind of similar to like owning a boat. Something, or a horse. I've been down those roads, and typically I'm kind of getting screwed on that with my daughters because that's just, it's it's always costing money, and that's the same thing with mining, is because you're always consuming power. But however, with the Green X, you are going to have the capability to help power the blockchain with your rigs. So very, very good things coming.
That's awesome. And you almost answered the next question, but before we go to the next question, I wanted to dig just a little bit more. You know, I am that devil's advocate. I like to take my fingernail and pick at it. You know, some folks, and I'm not going to call any names, but some folks have actually said that this is similar, if you will, to Bitcoin in the way that Bitcoin started. Can you shed any light on that specifically? Like, can you confirm or deny that this is kind of on the same path?
Or explain the similarities if there are any.
Sure.
Correct.
Bitcoin is nothing more than a proof of work network. That's all it is. It'll never change. It'll never go to a proof of stake, you know, creating the reward to getting the coin and stuff like that. As of right this second, Green X is in a proof of work stage. The mining rigs are creating the network and powering up the network to create the coin. It's very important because you're not buying the coin. It's very, very, you need to understand the difference between an ICO or a round robin Series A versus some of the other coins out there that you can actually take possession of the coin first,
right,
prior to it going onto an exchange, if it ever does. Now the same difference here is you are actually doing what Bitcoin and how it was started with Bitcoin is a GPU or an ASIC chip had to be started to create a Bitcoin reward, which at that point was solving the mathematical equation and you got rewarded Bitcoins. Same thing here with Green X. You're creating and powering up the network, and your reward using your rig is the coin. So the rig comes first. It's kind of like the chicken and the egg. Which came first? Well, the rig came first, then the coin, and then it moved off into phase 2 and then to the exchanges. You didn't take possession of the coins first because you haven't bought the coins. You haven't paid any type of Bitcoin to buy the actual coins that go into some wallet. You have to create them with your rigs, and then they go into your wallet, and then you have the option to sell, liquidate, or hold, or as Rob would say, don't panic, hold on to a tree, right, and, you know, move forward. So I hope that helps explain, you know, why this is different from ICOs, even though it is a new coin, that you're actually starting with the rig first, and that's the same similarity of how Bitcoin was started. It basically started honestly with the GPU versus an actual sophisticated rigs like we have now.
You know,
hey Mike, Chris, let me interject something here, and this is actually a great question by Mahfouz, our buddy Mahfouz. The question is in regards to the actual coin through Green X. The question is it too early to ask a question about wallets? So Green X is actually going to supply you your own wallet. So what you're going to need to do next is you're going to need to set up an ERC20 wallet, and we have a whole training series on ERC20, how to set up wallets and so on and so forth, and et cetera, et cetera. So as time goes on and we roll out and we get the API all taken care of, we will have, through Green X, a wallet in your back office, and that can be integrated, and you can take and transfer your Green X token or coin into your own personal ERC20 token wallet and on the Ethereum network. And then once they go onto the actual exchange, whether it's Binance or Bittrex or whatever, then you can actually, you know, sell off your coins there as you choose to do so. So I just want to interject that.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Mike,
my question.
The answer that you gave, I believe, will make some people that heard the answer sleep like babies tonight. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So on the next question,
can I put a big giant crayon moment on what he just explained about GPUs and ASIC things? Okay. Basically, the computers, that's your mining rig's a computer. Okay. Look at it like that. It's just like your computer hard drive. Okay. They're making the coins right now. That's what they're doing. So that's a real simple way of looking at it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Joe.
No problem. Yeah.
You know what, Joe? I love that I love that we can have people like Mike and Steven on here, and they can talk to us. They can answer our questions, and they have the compliant legal question answers. And we can kind of put our own spin on it.
I'll spray this one.
So, that's kind of good. I love that. So the next question that was submitted, Mike, for you specifically, is what sets Green apart? Oh, somebody's texting me. What sets Green apart from all the other coin token companies out there? And I believe personally, I mean, if you've got anything to add, I would definitely invite you to do that. But I feel as if though you've actually answered that question.
Yeah, and I'll just touch on it real quick again. Is obviously they've gone above and beyond the Call of Duty of making sure that their technology is protected with patents. Obviously here approved domestically in the United States, internationally as well. There's a lot of companies out there actually trying to copy what they're doing, including brick and mortar stores, which one of those is Walmart.
Right.
So, the fact that they're going above and beyond to do everything compliantly, and, we can touch on that. The fact that they've gotten through me, it should speak volumes that they're even allowed, that we are allowed to sell them. Because if I thought for 1 second that I was concerned, and I even had our SEC attorney team review this because I was doing everything that I could to say no, and that no would have been directed to Kathy, and they won, obviously, and Green X is here. So if anyone has ever talked to me personally or dealt with me personally or has gotten a unexpected call from me,
hammer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's people should take that with a lot of weight, that we are compliantly and working with any type of regulations to be able to properly sell mining rig equipment, and more specifically the Green X machines, because they have done a lot of the work and legwork for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I mean you can ask Kathy. I was trying hard to not allow them, and very, very happy to be working with Dave and them and the team up there.
Nice. Thank you for that extra there. Hey, Joe, I think I know that you've got a couple of questions for Mike, and then we're going to have a little bit of freestyle for a minute.
Okay. I'm looking through these questions right now, and he's really answered quite a few of these.
He has.
I'm going to kind of jump to one of the real big questions, and bear with me on this, Mike. Just a lot of people have been asking it, and I know you probably can't give a direct answer, but if you could kind of a little bit of something. Okay, and this is what the actual question is. What is the exit strategy for people who invested in the machines and want to get their initial investment back as soon as possible once the coin hits the exchange? And actually what I think they're trying to ask is when kind of a time frame on when it's going to hit the exchange, and when can they get their ROI back? When is there an option to cash out? Let's say that.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that's a multifaceted question, and it's probably going to be broken down into about 3 answers. So let's start with number 1.
Okay.
So number 1, I'm actually, this is on my queue of stuff to do, my KGX honey-do list, I guess you could say, is I'm actually going to be working with Mr. Rob Harris and actually showing people with a brand new education video on how to properly liquidate anything, regardless if it's the Green X coin or if you bought a whole bunch of another coin that had just gone on the market or something like that, because there's a proper way to do it, and then there's the dumb way to do it, because you always want to make sure that, one, yes, everybody wants to know when they get their return on their purchase of the rig. So the best way to answer that is, one, we're going to show you how when the coin does go on the exchange, we're going to show you how to properly liquidate what you feel you are comfortable with, and why you shouldn't do what is commonly called in this arena a pump and dump.
Right.
Which is very bad, not just for yourself, because you got to understand. I'll give you an example. If you had 1 million coins and you put out a sale order for 1 million coins, by the time it got to the last sale order, you'd be, who knows, maybe 20% lower than what you started with.
Mm-hmm.
And there's reason, it's like flipping a card deck, one card at a time, 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 and just do it properly and easily so you yourself are not causing a market manipulation. And that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to say that within the next, couple months, we're going to get very aggressive about disclosing what exchanges it's going to be on, proof of showing that it's going to be on the certain exchanges. I don't want to commit to a date because I don't want to be held to it, because as anything with any type of programming, Newton's law of theory is whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Exactly.
So, is it going to happen like next week? Absolutely not. You still got to understand, this is why I stress when I talk to people individually, you have to understand that Green United is literally just going on a month here of powering up the network, and the machines that are on are powering up that network to create the coins so that they are going to have enough reserve, not just with us, but, everyone should know that Green has its own machines to help power up the network as well on top of ours, that there has to be coins that are pushed to an exchange. You just can't say coins on the exchange and there's nothing circulating.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah. So, that's why if you go to CoinMarketCap and you see, just use Bitcoin, the circulating supply is, 17.2 million or whatever it is, that's actual circulating supply through liquided wallets that, people can exchange in and out. The exchanges, the top 5, typically Binance is up in there. So when you have the circulating supply, that's how many coins are available or in somebody's wallet somewhere, or a fraction of that wallet. Obviously you can break down Bitcoin down to the 8th decimal point. So there's a lot of coins out there. In any type of fraction, and the same thing has to be done with Green X. We can't just there's the coin and there is absolutely zero on the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you have to have the coins to sell.
Correct.
To put on the exchange, exactly.
Yep.
But okay, I think that kind of got all that. One other little part of that question is, in the first 6 months, there's going to be the 12.5 billion run. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that run have to be completed before it hits the exchange?
No.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I think there was some confusion there in that, with everyone explaining that particular number and then thinking, well, does it all have to be done before we're going to the exchange? But it doesn't.
Yeah. It's basically, that number has to actually be manifested to let everyone, it has to be done because it is a sidechain network and it's going to be moving to ERC20, which is mandatory on that network that you disclose how many coins within the software are going to be released. So within the first 180 days, there's going to be 12.5 billion, B as in boy, available to be mined through all the machines that are online.
Okay.
And then on the 181st day, give or take a few days, there will be another 12.5 billion released into the software, for a total of 25 billion over the course of the first 12 months. And so as we would say, is basically day one was July 4th. Okay. And that's really where the countdown starts going backwards onto the next release and so on and so forth. And then as we go forward, if I'm not mistaken, it's 50 billion total, and that'll half, so 12.5 the following 12 months, and then halved again and halved again until it exceeds all the way up to 50 billion.
Wow.
Okay. So there's, to kind of put it in simple terms, there's going to be multiple runs.
Oh, yes.
Of the same coin, but multiple runs. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Very good.
Yep.
And now let's kind of talk about what one of the benefits would be to being in as early as you could possibly get in with purchasing a Green X miner.
And I would respond to that, why are you still on the Zoom?
Right?
Exactly. Well, no, I know, but will you tell them why it's a good thing?
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure all of my co-owners and all the people that have been part of the cryptocurrency space for a minimum of a year would have loved to be mining Bitcoin back in 2010 and 11. Same thing here. Is you have the ability and opportunity to purchase yourself a piece of mining equipment, be part of the forefront of before the tsunami hits.
Correct.
And positioning yourself now will ultimately reach to a higher goal that I can't say.
Right.
So
For compliance and legal reasons.
Hey, Mike, Joe, Chris, I'd love to interject a little bit on Green if you guys don't mind.
Okay, cool.
No, as a matter of fact, before you do, Jeremy, I wanted to just kind of let everybody know. Mike, don't run off. I just wanted
I'm
to
going to
kind
get
of
my
let
steps
everybody know. Okay. I said earlier to Joe, I don't know if anybody took note, we were going to do a little bit of freestyle here.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to let everybody know that, the benefit of having a platform like this and the benefit of having a company like this is this right here, that we actually have owners showing up to a call that is this important for everyone to get their hands on, okay, whether it's in a recorded state or a non-recorded state. And so, Jeremy, you must have a ESPN or something, because I was just getting ready to ask you if you would unmute and talk to me a little bit about how you feel about Green X and what you think, what you think the Green X thing adds to us, us being Kryptogenics. Okay. So basically how you feel that is setting us apart, if you will, from maybe some of the other people out there. And Will, you're not getting away either. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I'll touch on that. Thanks, Chris. ESPN just popped up on my battle station here. I got multiple screens going on, and thanks, Stephen, for throwing me under the bus. But anyway, so the coolest thing for me, guys, about Green X and the opportunity that we have here as a company to be a part of the forefront and to be the first movers and the first miners of the Green X coin is Green X and the solar and the energy and really the technology behind what it is they're trying to accomplish and the disruptive manner that they're doing this is the possibility of being able to send, say your grandma can't pay for her electric bill.
Mm-hmm.
I can send grandma some Scooby snacks.
Yeah.
That's going to help her pay for her electric. It's disrupting. It's, we've heard time and time again on Brandon's, those of you that follow Brandon Ivy, those of you that follow, Chris and Joe, this is cryptocurrency is really about disruption. And we are on the forefront, and we're ahead of, like Steven said, we can't even see the curve, right? So had we been mining Bitcoin back in 2010, when Bitcoin first kind of came into fruition, right? The value of the coin there was 6 cents or whatever it is, and it jumped up and it jumped back down and it jumped up. Even if this coin hypothetically hits a penny, and a year from now it's worth a quarter, a year from now it's worth 50 cents, and you're walking through a Home Depot or a Lowe's, and you got the guy with the table that's all set up asking you about solar panels on top of your roof. This is the next step in the power industry game. These guys are leading the path and leading the way, and they're doing it through crypto and blockchain technology. And, people send me private messages all the time asking me how many of these rigs I own myself. And I'm not trying to brag, but let's just say Kryptogenics, our company, bought a large number and gave up some of our profits, bought a large number of these rigs because we believe in what it is we're selling ultimately, right? Because let's just face it, at the end of the day, we're selling rigs.
Right.
You guys are selling rigs to the field.
True.
We own a large number of these rigs ourselves. We took our profits as owners of Kryptogenics and purchased green mining rigs. If we didn't believe in what we were selling, why would we have taken? I would have taken those profits and dumped it into Litecoin. We're at the forefront of this whole power disruption, and Green X is really kind of leading the way. I can't tell you how excited I am to be, you know, we're one of 10 distributors worldwide, and the only legal and compliant MLM / network marketing / direct sales / whatever you want to call it, company that is actually distributing these rigs. And I mean, that's a privilege in itself, you know, so I'm stoked. I'm super excited. I love hearing the updates. When I found out this was an ERC20 token, I couldn't be any more excited. That would be a perfect place for us to show proof of work. Proof of work really can break that down. And my favorite thing is big crayons, is it has to show that this coin actually accomplishes something.
Right.
Not the company that has done this per se IPO. More of us might be familiar. For the people who don't understand the crypto nerd talk, I think many of us do, is this company has to actually do something. They can't just say, hey, look at me, I'm an ICO. You know, I'm a new company, I'm a new startup. You got to show that this thing actually accomplishes what it says it's going to do. And, you know, once this thing hops on the exchange, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to hold this sucker. Because just like we've experienced in the past, guys, how many of us got into ICOs last year?
Right.
The exchange at X number of, you know, cents or dollars or whatever, just to see it plunge because everybody got, you know, fear of loss, right? So they sold like most of their coins just to turn around and see the coin come back up.
Right.
You know, timing is everything. You definitely always want to search for your ROI. But the number of coins that these rigs are going to produce in the first 6 months, in the first 90 days, there's about 1,400 rigs going online. So if you take that 12.5 billion and divide that in half, and then divide that by 1,400 rigs, that's going to give you a guesstimated number of coins that are going to be mined by those first 1,400.
Okay, Jeremy, I just heard a bunch of calculator keys going off, okay? I think you just started something. No, seriously.
Hey, let's repeat that, actually, if we could, because I think that's going to answer a lot of questions without answering any questions.
Yeah,
let's give a math lesson on how to calculate things.
Let me slow that down, okay, guys?
Thank you.
So we have 12.5 billion coins.
Okay,
first 6 months.
your first number.
That's your first number.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you're going to take that 12.5 billion, you're going to divide that number in half.
Now you have your second number.
What do we got, Chris?
Oh, I'm not doing it. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
6.25.
Come on. 6.25. Simple
Okay.
math, right?
Yep.
So we're going to take 6.25 billion and divide that by 1,400. Roughly.
Yeah.
Now, this is not an earnings statement. This is not guaranteeing you guys anything. This is no promises, okay?
Right.
But I want to give you just an idea, an example of what the power of this thing can do. Okay, so what did that number come to, Mike?
7 figures.
7 figures.
7 figures.
Yeah, can't really. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take that and we're going to guess that at a half a penny.
Yes. Times 7 figures, guys. Girls, ladies, gentlemen, kids of all ages.
Now do that at a penny. Do that at 2 pennies. Do that at 3 pennies. Do that at 5 pennies. Do that at 20 pennies. So,
Right.
like, again, I'm not going to tell you how much this is going to hit the exchange on. Let's just face it. The sky could fall. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. This is a risk by everyone. But the possibility is there. So
Yeah.
Yes,
and it's a
absolutely.
direct comparison of what went same thing with Bitcoin. I mean, look at how many people. I knew a lot of people that were involved in 2011 and 12. But really, what Jeremy and I are telling you is that you are on a path to an early mover. The early bird gets the worm, and I can assure you that if Jeremy and I and Steven and Kathy and Will were mining Bitcoin in 2011, we'd all be calling you from the island that we went window shopping for on, whatever. Just
Right.
Yes.
we would not be having this conversation. And I'm sure that, as things developed through last year is a perfect example of what can happen in regardless of what you put your own money into. Look at what Bitcoin was at the end of 2017. I remember talking to Jeremy every day. And this is when he was 3 hours behind me, so it was actually a little easier. Now he's 6. But, every day it would go up, go up, go up, go up, go up. And then as we saw the first quarter of this year, things starting to go down. So
Right.
you need to understand that there's volatility in anything. And for those people out there that are out there doing pump and dumps, it's going to change the market.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand and appreciate that. But at the end of the day, everyone that started mining Bitcoin in the early times had access to a large amount of coin that if they held on to some or hold, that it would be worth a lot of money like it is today.
That's a great addition to what Jeremy said, Mike. And, no one has additions better than you do. I wanted to ask you before you take off on me, Will, are you still out there? Hey, Will.
You might have jumped off.
Oh, shame on him. He's just not unmuting. Okay. So, see, he's learned. He knows me well enough to know that.
Hey, Chris, I kind of got something I kind of want to throw in here real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since we're on all the Green X stuff and we're talking about green, is it okay? Can we give like a website out or something like that so people can actually look and see what Green is doing and what they're all about?
As far as
the actual company.
Green only has a simple website.
Is it just simple one? Okay.
But it's basically the same thing that we have in our. It's basically
the same thing. Okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at copy and paste.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Yeah,
it works. And I think a lot of I think what you're trying to get at, and I think what a lot of people are trying to do is just cross their T's and dot their I's and know a little bit about the companies that they're doing business with. And I think a lot of that will be revealed once the coin gets on the exchanges and stuff, and some of their patents are sealed. It's one of those things where you don't want to put out too much information too fast, I think. Am I right, Mike?
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
just
and
wanted to make sure.
One thing that I kind of want to stress here that was kind of touched a little bit when you were talking about ICOs and the difference between what this is and what an ICO is, is an ICO is generally there to fund
the company.
It's just to fund a company. It's a crowdfunding venture, really.
Absolutely.
And that's not what's happening. There's already something in place that's working. When they say they're getting everything online, getting everything powered up, I'm going to step out on a limb and say they're actually getting things powered up and online. You know what I mean? Like it means exactly what it says. That's about a big crayon as I can get without really saying, I don't want to get in trouble for anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Joe, stop now. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I know that everybody is taking time out of their evening. We could talk about this stuff all night long. We're not going to. What we're going to do is tell you that you're going to have to tune in next Wednesday night again for some more. I am going to invite Mike and Stephen back, as well as Will and Jeremy, because I think it's great that we have that synergy. If Kathy can make it out here, I'd love to hear from her too. The female perspective is always a good one. Throws a monkey wrench in everything us guys are trying to do, right? So, Kathy, I love you. I do. So, we want to invite you guys back repeatedly. You have a standing ovation. You have also a standing invitation here, and we want to keep that rolling. Mike, is there anything that I know that we had a lot of questions tonight for you and Stephen, and you guys did a fantastic job answering those. Jeremy did a fantastic job coming in and giving us some insight from a different perspective.
Big crayons.
Hey.
Gotta love the crayons.
Yes.
Gotta
love those crayons. But I just wanted to make sure that I didn't take the mic away from you too soon, buddy.
No, that since it's getting almost to the top of the hour.
Yes, sir.
I will close the call.
Okay.
How's that?
That works.
Okay. So first and foremost, from myself and all of our co-owners here at CryptoGenics, I appreciate every single one of you coming out here to be with us this evening. And I really believe that you guys should know this. And I'm going to leave you guys hanging. As the great Steve Harvey would say, is that sometimes you need to jump. And CryptoGenics is about to make you jump,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a lot of things in store that we're going to be unveiling over the next 60 days that is going to blow your socks off. And I can assure you that we will be the only company that has these services available here in the United States. And we've done a lot of work, spent a lot of time, and I'll give you a hint. It begins with the letter T.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, everyone. I appreciate everything that you're doing. And from the bottom of my heart, from my family, from all of my co-owners, I really greatly appreciate all of your patience. I appreciate all the growing pains that you're going through with us. And that letter was T, as in toy. And Steph has her helmet, of course, because I gave that to her. But I can assure you that you better make sure you duct tape your socks on, because I'm going to make sure that you guys are going to have a great, great last quarter of 2018. So from all of us here at Cryptogenics, I love you all. God bless you all. Mr. Hanks, Crypto Joe, it is always an honor for myself, Stephen, Jeremy, Will, and Kathy to be part of this. And thank you so much for setting this up. God bless everyone, and good night. The floor is yours, Chris.
Good night, everyone.
Thank
Joe,
you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks, Will. Wait, he left. Yeah.
Thank you, Core 5. We
Hey.
appreciate you. Thank you, all of the people that came. Have a great
Thanks,
night.
everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Stop the recording, please, sir.
Okay.
All right.